Hi, I'm Farida here, and I have started my career three times. I have restarted it three times. At present, I'm working, the third time being working as a senior curriculum developer with Chimple. I, I was very good in schools and academics, and I taught most of my classes. So, not having a career was something I didn't imagine back then. I wanted to be a astrophysicist. I was very much influenced by the Cosmos show telecast on DD by Carl Sagan. And I wanted to become a scientist and work in space research. That was a big dream, but that was the dream I had. Uh, I was good in studies, so I started coaching students at a very young age. And I also had a business stunt at 13-year-old. I used to bring mixers from Delhi and sell it in Bangalore. I had everything in me to start a career and become successful, but I ended up being a PUC dropout. My marriage was fixed with the guy from Dubai, and the conditions that were laid before me were no studying further, no working outside home, and no interacting with men. In those days, working women carried some kind of a stigma. They were not kind of insistent on me working. Uh, but I was good in academics. I was considered a smart child, but I was not good in making finances or good life choices. Soon I was married. I was living a life I didn't enjoy much, and I did a lot of things I didn't believe in. I was compromising on a lot of things. I was trying to do things only to please people and keep them happy, especially my husband. But again, life is unpredictable. There was series of cancer happening in my family. My dad was diagnosed in 1992, my sister in 1994, and myself in 1996. I was diagnosed with third stage breast cancer when I was breastfeeding my daughter of 11 months old. And by the way, my daughter also was with special needs. She was 11 months when I was breastfeeding her, and I was diagnosed with cancer. That was a hurricane hitting me in full force, I should say. So things started to change soon after that as well. I realized that I had no much control over what was happening to me or what I was going to do about what was happening to me because I didn't have the financial freedom. Um, so I was dependent on the financial provider for all the decisions I was making. My husband went back to Dubai again, where he has always worked after his holidays in India. And I did not hear from him for 2 years after my cancer experience. He had left me bald headed with a special needs child and gone. So it was then that I was completely confused and decided I had made a wrong decision and where should I start? It was a difficult time. Yeah. I was with a special child with no job experience, no proper education, and dealing with chemotherapy, a bald head, and looking for a job. That was not going to work out very easily for me. So, in somehow the cancer had brought in a lot of ego back into me, and I did not want to actually go back to my husband and ask for his help. So somehow I was waiting for him to do his duty like me. But then that didn't happen. So I decided I will start whatever I can. I started stitching clothes and making soft toys, creating soft toys and selling them. It was very far off from the dream job I had dreamed about earlier of being an astrophysicist, but it turned out well. 2 years went by. My husband came back from Gulf, and yeah, he continued as if nothing had happened. He told he had some issues there, and he couldn't get in touch or anything, and all that. So, because of my cancer experience, and I did not know what lifespan um, it had given me after my treatment, because I lost my sister to cancer. Meanwhile, I decided to welcome the other parent into my children's life. But I was nervous to give up everything. So I continued my studies and did diploma in counseling skills and started working part-time as a play therapist, counselor, and doing odd jobs here and there as a counselor. Soon all the hell broke loose. I was accused of not keeping up my promise, and I was cheating and I was doing wrong. I was doing a lot of mistakes, which was not good for a right woman to do. Okay, somewhere I blame myself for the mistake I made all over again. I gave up everything I had created in Bangalore, got under the pressure, and moved into the village to my husband's ancestral home to give my marriage and my children a second chance. So things started positively back then when we went there, but things do not change like it happen in movies. So they slowly slided back to where I was. Again, I was not under the control of what was happening to me. Now in the village, there was no jobs I could find, and even if I found them, the threat was there that my husband would withdraw his support, and if I worked and this and the breaking promises, cheating, and came again and again. Somewhere, I had a special child to take care of. I had been through cancer. I had no actually. There was a lot of excuses to make up for just not one life but two lives. Yeah, but something in me kept prodding me. Don't give up, don't give up, do something again. So I started taking tuitions. I became very popular with the tuitions because my students are not only doing good academically, but they were very good in debates and competitions. So my son at that time who was watching me, he was in 10th grade. He told me, "Ma, why are you wasting your life like this? Why are you not doing something with your skills and talents?" Then I explained to him, yeah, this is the promises I made. I go through the guilt if I do it. He told, yeah, did you know back then you would go through cancer, or you would have a special child, or this is the life did you promise, did you make that promise for? What would be the reward if you keep up the promise, and what will be the consequences if you break the promise? You should have discussed it well. At that moment, I felt very stupid. Yeah, I was elder to him. I was his mom. This was a teenager talking to me, but I felt really stupid. And I realized I was suffering for no reason. I decided, like the millions of people who break the traffic rules, when they don't wear the helmet, they pay the fine and things like that. That kind of a thing came inside me and decided I'm going to break this promise. I'm going to break this rule. So I started with computers. I learned computers. I started blogging. I became quite popular as a blogger as well. And I started getting offers for content writing. And that was a very big breakthrough. The blogging and content writing, it gave me the freedom to earn from inside the home. Soon I became very familiar with Microsoft Office, computer functioning, internet research, and all. It helped me a lot, and I had a steady income. I was not afraid of the threat that withdrawing of the support and what will I do with my two children. And getting back this control of the finances, it was like the feeling the father had when the prodigal son came back. No? You feel, yeah, I lost it, but I have found it again. Wow, it meant a lot to me. As my son entered college, even I started studying again. First, I did my graduation, and then I started with my post graduation as well. There was a lot of pressure, yeah, withdrawal of support, the threat of divorce, and these and that. A lot of things happened, but I was ready for it because I had some income coming through, and I was not very afraid. After my post graduation, I did not have to search much, and I landed with a very good job. It was paying me 45,000. It was 5 times more than the money my husband was sending from Dubai. So after that, I have never looked back financially. Financial problem has not been there. I am really grateful to my son for giving me that push and also being supportive. He took care of my daughter, did the housework, and helped me actually. Again, what I say is, we need somebody. Yeah, we need somebody to give that push to us. Uh, like what I say is, I got my life back again. It was not just a career or studies or anything. It was getting the life back again. It is like Edmund Hillary said when he climbed the mountain, like, yeah, it is not the mountain you conquer, but ourselves. It's not the mountain. It's not the career or something we achieve with the financial freedom. And we make the decision for ourselves, and we actually are in control of our life. Without that, if being in my situation and being where I was, it is nobody else can understand how it is to be financially dependent on someone and do their bidding. I had a dream of starting an inclusive preschool. So with enough funding, I started it. I ran it successfully for 3 years before the lockdown closed it down. So that was the third time again I was looking for a job. And it is then that I wanted, I wanted to make a difference in education sector. I wanted to reach out to the children again. So I approached, I had heard about Chimple learning app, which were the winners of the X Prize. And I approached them for a job. My boss gave me a task to do. and he checked it out, and getting the job was very easy. He didn't even question me much about anything. So I was back into the job. I was working, and I'm very proud to be a part of this team where we um, um, actually teach children learn by themselves. They learn on themselves. Yeah, it's a self-learning app. Uh, there is something I would like to say that if the iPhone wouldn't upgrade itself, would it be as popular as it is? Resilience, tenacity, and determination has helped me get back steady with my career once again. At the age of 54, my third job, I got it at the age of 54. And how it has helped me is because I never stopped learning, even though I was not on a 9 to 5 job. I never quit working. I always did something or other. I never was afraid to check out the new waters like internet, computers. I never told I'm too old for this. I kept learning. So whenever I went for an interview and they asked me, can you handle Microsoft Office, Google Sheets, Google Documents, Excel? My answer was yes to the most of the questions, though I was not specially coached into it. So I would say lock up your excuses and reasons and before you think of success, because if you have them handy, things will always be difficult to work out. Have a shield against the guilt they will throw at you. You will always feel guilty for making yourself and your career important. So you have to have a shield. I may not have achieved the dream job of astrophysics, but life is now very close to it. I enjoy what I'm doing, and I think everyone should get their life back, never to be dependent on others for finance or anything. I mean, if you are dependent and you can make your decisions, well and good. If not, get control of your life. That's it.
Hi, I'm Gauri Das. I'm a senior HR professional and I'm here to share my story of coming back from break, not once but twice, and how I overcame those challenges and how I reached where I am today. So let me start from my childhood because a lot of things come from childhood, and I'm a strong believer that who we are, a lot of it is decided when we are growing up, though it's a continuous learning journey. But a lot of it is decided when we start our journey, when our childhood, because our values, though values again keep changing, but values are, it's the starting point. So it's very important for us to have a look there. So for me, my journey started from a small village, and there were no English medium schools. So I studied in a Hindi medium school, in a village school, which had only one classroom, and irrespective of which grade you come from, everybody would study together. So with those levels of education and environment, I still had big dreams in my eyes. And my parents were very supportive. They always encouraged me. Though I come from Eastern UP and women are not supposed to be very educated there. My own mom is just 8 pass, but they always encouraged me to move forward and reach where I am today. So when I started my engineering, because I was academically very good, I got good rank and I got second ranking college in Madhya Pradesh. This was in Indore. So I came to this large city, and the first challenge came in form of communication skills. This college had people from all across the world, and the communication channel or medium would be English, and I was extremely bad at it. So I used to face a lot of challenges. It was a time when I felt very low. But slowly, since there were dreams and there was that support from childhood, the possibilitarian attitude that my parents had inculcated in me helped me move forward. So this happened, and then by the time I reached third year of engineering, I realized that I am not made for machines and I should do something in management. And this was supported by one of my professors who said that Dave Ulrich is writing new chapters in HR, and you should be one of the HR leaders. I see you doing well there. So I agreed and I listened to whatever he said. Anyways, there was no Google, there was not lots to understand in those days. And I went ahead with whatever my professor guided me with. So I appeared for MBA entrance exam, but life had some other plans for me. And before I could go to counseling, I went to Mandap and got married. So from there, a new life started, and I went to Guwahati, which is in Assam. In 2005, when I went there after my marriage, half of my classmates hadn't even heard about this place. And it was like, where are you going? And most of them went to US, they went abroad because I was a computer engineer, and most of them found jobs outside. So they were earning handsomely in dollars, and here I was looking for a job in Northeast. And that's how my story started. As a woman, we know the challenges are even more, and I had to manage a home. I never knew it because I was in hostel. So a lot of challenges, and people kept telling me your career is already over because you are in Northeast, and forget about career, you will not even get a job there. But I persisted with possibilitarian attitude and the lessons that my parents had given me, and I'm coming to it. So I continued to appear for interviews, and finally I landed a job. But every day I would be like, I want to get out of this place, and I would just pray that we go to a better city where I can make I can start my career from, because this was not a place where I would see a very long term growth. So my prayers were heard, and I got to know that my husband is taking up a new role, but we did not know about location. And I was like, hopefully it's one of the metros. But again, life had some other plans, and we went to Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad also was not very advanced in terms of offering a job for an engineer, but it was a good place because Assam was something where they would start at 4:30 a.m. in the morning and it would end at 7. So by the time we think we have to go out, market is already closed. So Ahmedabad was a normal place the way I had stayed in Indore or any other place. And by the way, I have stayed in 7 different states in India. So that open-mindedness also helped me in adjusting to these new realities. Now I came to Ahmedabad, and it took us around 3 months for our luggage to come from Assam to Ahmedabad. My husband joined his company, but I was again looking for a job and thinking what to do because there was nothing at home. We were staying in hotels. And at some point of time, company said it's too long now and you need to start living in your apartment irrespective of what you have in hand. So we started living there, and I continued to look for a job. This was my first break. It took me around 7 months to move from Ahmedabad, from Assam to Ahmedabad, and then look out for a job. And this break came within 2 years of my career. So it was difficult to get a job. I tried looking for a similar job that I had in Assam, but I could not get one. Again, I had to create possibilities and I had to do something which helps me. So I started looking for a job in as a lecturer, because that would be something which comes easier than looking for a corporate job in a city like Ahmedabad, where there were not many corporates or many opportunities for an engineer. So I started teaching MCA, MBA, and BCA, BBA students, and that's how I overcame my first break. Now the values or the important things that I utilized in this period was definitely a possibilitarian attitude, where I knew I had to do it for myself, putting myself out there. I did not say that I would not be working as a lecturer because I was working with a company earlier and I do not want to change my way. I did it because I knew that was the best possible course of action for me. And any learning is not a bad learning. Whatever you do, you gain something which helps you later in your career, in your life. So any learning that comes your way is not waste. It always helps. And that's the lesson that I learned from here. After 2 years, it was time for my bundle of joy. And at the same time, my husband changed his job from Ahmedabad to another city. And this time it was Mumbai. And I was glad that both things coincided. It was arrival of my daughter and it was also movement to a new city. So I could manage in the second break, which was close to around 1.5, 2 years. And I was so happy that I didn't have to go for third break. Now, this time it was a very large city. I had never stayed in Mumbai before, and I didn't know how to manage this place. On top of it, I had to manage my daughter. I had to manage home, setting up everything newly in a large city. Never been to a local train, so that was another thing. And after I was done with my career, supporting my daughter for close to 2 years, I decided to go back. Now, this time was extremely challenging, and I didn't know where to start. I didn't know how to look for a job in Mumbai. But again, since I always has had this practice of putting myself out there, putting in all efforts and persistent and perseverance, it helped me, and I finally started going for interviews. So when I would go to interview, there will be a lot of questions. 4 years of career, two breaks, 7 states. So employers were not very convinced that I will stay back or I will have longevity in the job role. On top of it, it was a nuclear family, and they used to ask me who would take care of your daughter. I was away from work for close to 2 years. Skilling was also a challenge. So I went through went through interviews to interviews, rejections to rejections, and in all, I had 13 rejections before I landed up a job. Now, what did I do to change this situation and steer it in my favor? I look at all the challenges and started working on them one by one. Number one was nuclear family and who will take care of your daughter, because there will be separation anxiety. So I started putting her even before I landed up a job, and I could tell them that see, she's already there and she will be able to handle this. Skilling. So I started a course, and I learned a lot of things in HR, and that's where this challenge of skilling got overcome. Talking about different states, I couldn't do anything much there, but longevity, I could convince them that I'm going to be here and I'm going to make a mark for myself. I also did my MBA in this period. So, one thing that I would like to say to women here is there are ample opportunities. You have to be there, you have to go and look for things. And number one thing would be, don't think that you can't make it possible. Everything is possible. It's all here. It's all in our belief. If we think we can make it, we will be able to make it. If we think we are unable to make it, we are already lost. And ask for help. I did not ask for help for a very long time because I had this superwoman syndrome. We don't have to do it, and we have to always remember it's not only home but also work. And remember, if you don't ask for things, the answer is always no. So better ask. You might get some yeses. And finally, the formula is SAY. Say is self leadership, A is accepting new mental models, and Y is power of yet. That is my mantra of living life. Thank you.
Hi everyone, welcome to Jobs for Her's HerRising conference. I hope you all are enjoying the conference and making the most of it. Trust me, this is the best launch pad for all the restarters like me. Today, most of you might have already seen this familiar face already on Jobs for Her website or on social media handles. My name is Nidhi Khatri, and I am here today to share my restarter journey with all of you. Whenever I look back at my journey, I sometimes wonder myself, how did I make it? But then I realize that yes, it was very challenging. But when you are sure about yourself, when you believe in yourself, and your happiness quotient is really high, you will make it. I started my career in 2009, and if most of you remember clearly, it was also a peak of recession that time. It was not easy for me to find a job, but then our alumni and my MBA college, they all came together to help all of us in our final year to find the right placement. And that's where exactly I picked up the skill on networking. My first job itself, I landed through networking. My career, when I started in media and advertising, I realized the wonderful platform of, how everything is so creative. None of the book knowledge came handy for me there. It was on the job that I realized here where I belong. And the seed of branding was where, successfully planted in me. From there on, I have been fortunate enough to work with some renowned media houses, advertising agencies, and startups. In the startup culture, I learned a lot more about taking ownership, having the freedom to explore, and also going over and above your job list or your task list at hand. But having said that, then came my career break, a very big call that I had to take again, close to about 5 years of my career. But with a wonderful opportunity knocking at my door to explore another country. Should I or shouldn't I? Was the question. And then when I spoke to my father, he just had one thing to say. Does that make you happy? Yes, it does. I don't know if I'll ever be able to make it through my job. And he said, then go explore. Why not? Why do you feel that it's going to limit you? And that's exactly what I did. A very conscious decision, a choice that I own till date, and I took to travel abroad with my husband, relocated myself, and explored a new country altogether. Breaking the cultural boundaries, understanding how boundaries can be so blurring. I opened up new avenues for myself. I did volunteer in the US. I went ahead and partnered with some social enterprises, did content management for them, and at the same time became a mother. Doing all of this, and I thoroughly enjoyed my stay and travel in the US. And it was time to get back to the homeland. After coming back to the homeland, when I started looking for jobs, there were noises all around me. Trust me, with the most of you, after motherhood, people will come and tell you, do you really need to work? Your husband is earning well. Why do you need to work? You need to take care of your child. Why do you need to go? Your job will be very demanding. All of this noise around you will try to shut you down. But do you think, is it really important for you to find your own happiness, or do you need to pay heed to these noises around you? Well, they are not naysayers, or probably I cannot even say they are well wishers, because it's only just a one sided approach that's coming to you. What you need to focus on is, does that have any purpose in your life? Is it what you actually want to do? Going back to my father's golden wisdom words is, Beta, does that make you happy? One simple question that simplifies all the troubles in my life. Because whatever you do in your life, there'll be people who will be pulling you down. There'll be a lot of noise even in the corporate world. But what you have to do is just be really, really conscious of all the decisions that you make. Not all decisions, not all choices are going to be correct, but there'll be learning at every path, at every step of your life. With that career break, when I came back to India, you won't believe me, 6 months, 20 plus interview calls. Everyone kept on asking me questions. Why do you want to get back to work? First. Second, are you going to continue to stay in India, or are you going to go back again? And nobody trusted my skill sets. They're like, either we hire you or we hire freshers, it's the same. You're as raw in this job as any fresher would be. But something in me was not ready to give up. I was not compromising. I was not even taking a pay cut. And I was asking for flexibility. Too much for a restarter to ask for, isn't it? Sounds challenging already. But I kept working on myself. With every interview, after coming back, I used to make notes of what were the questions that were asked to me. How can I answer them better in the next interview? Secondly, is there any skill set that I'm lacking as per the current market scenario? And that's exactly where, in spite of harping about the fact that I have done digital courses, I am aware of the recent trends in the digital industry. Somewhere a certification or a recognition was missing. I went ahead and I embarked upon that opportunity took a digital course, upskilled myself. Now, the next step was start working on my network, which was very, very important. Well, I continued to work, stay in touch with some of my old colleagues, some of my friends, but everybody thought that it's going to be tough and hard for me to restart. And see, that very moment, while I was on my path of digital course and finishing my course, Face of Jobs for Her happened. When I attended Jobs for Her, this opportunity, I met more women like me. I heard each one story. 13 of us were the first Jobs for Her, Face of Jobs for Her in 2018. And I listened to each one story very carefully. What I realized was, if it's not easy for me, there are more women like me, it's not easy for them as well. And I should not be treating myself as probably not signing myself off when others are already doing that and pulling me back. And with that opportunity, I started networking all over again. Jobs for Her helped me and gave me a launch pad, and I made the most of it. With that opportunity, I landed up a job where they called me a mini influencer or a mini celebrity, thanks to Jobs for Her again. Yes, I am a torchbearer, flag bearer for Jobs for Her, and I'm very proud of that because when you get a launch pad, you understand the worth and you also appreciate the work that's gone behind it. After that incident, I started working. There were people in the company, in the corporate world, who were still trying to judge you. And trust me, in your everyday, small to small tasks, also, there'll be people or mini battles that you'll be fighting on judgment. Don't give up. I know I've been saying that again and again, don't give up, but that's my key mantra. And how do you ace your restarter journey? Especially if you're starting with a startup or even if you're starting with any company, focus on the task at hand. Especially when you are in a new setup and you're trying to know people, you're trying to learn so many things, go full throttle, do your research work, make sure your groundwork is done before you even come to any meeting. Have your research work handy with you. It's always beneficial. Let go of projects which are not serving the purpose or probably not going to help you in your career path. I know sometimes it's not easy. You've done the work and you want to be part of that project. But trust me, you'll sleep well, you'll eat well, and you'll feel well because when you're rested well is when you can perform well. Coming to how I made it till here where I am today. In my restarter journey, there were projects which I led, but there was a point when I was not given the seat at the table. Be very, very careful about when there are flags in your career path. Those are not rejections. The rejections that I faced in 2009 during recession, the rejections that I faced during my restarter journey in 2018, 2019, those are not rejections. Those are redirections. Take those redirections as your green signal to explore something absolutely new. And let the rolling eyes keep rolling and scale yourself up. Find a seat at the table. Do not give up because every time you give up, they are ready to let go of you with that opportunity as a launchpad for me with a startup helped me arm myself. And after that, I went all aboard to find the right fit where my mission, my vision, and my purpose of how I want to build brands, of how I want to go out and talk about the customer journey and embark, bringing customers on board with the brands and walking the path of the vision journey together happened. And that's how today I am heading the brand at Cloudnine Group of Hospitals. Being a mother was has come such a full circle for me by leading this brand. And you wouldn't believe that was one of the questions when they were hiring me. They asked me, the very important aspect is that you're a mother and you'll understand a mother's journey very carefully. Today, in my team, I have a very beautiful blend of mothers, restarters, starters who understand and value the job at hand. So trust your path, trust your journey, because when people are just there to sign you off and you bounce back, it's going to be Eureka. So wish you all the best and make the most of this conference. And if you guys want to get in touch with me, if in any way I can help you, please go to my profile plus on the Jobs for Her website, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn at search me with the name of Nidhi Khatri, Head of Brand Cloudnine Group of Hospitals. See you all. Thank you.